experimentation is necessary. We have already shown that animals provide good models for testing because of genetic similarities, so many of the vaccines that work on them also work on humans. Also, it is not as inhumane as most of the world thinks to test on animals because scientists have to follow certain standards. And finally, it is against the law to sell medications to the public without having been tested first. Animals are quite simply the best and safest option. We would also like to point out, animal experimentation has led to many cures and vaccines for terrible diseases. Polio is a crippling and potentially fatal infectious disease caused by the poliovirus. This virus infects a person's brain and spinal cord, causing paralysis. Even if a child manages to recover from this disease, they can experience something called post-polio syndrome. Through this, the child can develop new muscle pain, weakness, and paralysis as adults, 15 to 40 years later. According to AlasFoundation.org, polio reached a peak in the United States in 1952, with over 21,000 paralytic cases. It was a scary time. Families torn apart by the effects on the mind and body. Mothers, children, teachers, great leaders being killed by this awful cancer. In this dark hour, Albert Sabin and Jonas Salk turned to testing on monkeys to somehow find a cure for the devastation. And now, polio cases have decreased 99% since 1988. We have saved hundreds and thousands of lives because we tested a vaccine on a few monkeys. Was it not worth it to get rid of this terrible, terrible disease? Or would you rather let polio wreak havoc on our streets and families? We have found cures and treatment through animal testing to things like Alzheimer's disease, antidepressants, asthma, autism, blindness, bone and joint disease, brain injury, breast cancer, cardiac arrest and ventricular fibrillation, deafness, hearing loss, diabetes, Down syndrome, hepatitis, Huntington's disease, HIV, influenza, leprosy, leukemia, lymphoma, malaria, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, smallpox, STIs, stroke, tuberculosis, whooping cough, the Zika virus, and many others. One of those many others is cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis, also referred to as CF, is an incurable genetic disorder that mainly affects the lungs and digestive system. It is, in the UK, the most common life-threatening inherited disease. A close friend of mine has CF. When I was first told this, I was scared. I didn't want my friend to hurt, to suffer, to die. But she doesn't suffer, not really. She still has CF, but because of the medications and treatments animal testing has provided, we can swim together 4 nights a week and not worry about the consequences. Do you really think that a street rat deserves to live more than my friend? That this animal's life is valued more than the love and happiness this testing has provided? Think of a world without animal testing, where death and disease reign supreme, where fear rules the hearts and minds of innocent people. They fear for their lives, their children, their families, and the fate of the human race. So here it is, the real question. What do we care more about saving? A beautiful little girl dying slowly and painfully of cancer, tuberculosis, polio? Or a rat that has given his simple life of scourging and plunder for the health and safety of all mankind?